The restaurant was elegant, filled with polished tables, sparkling cutlery, and customers expecting nothing less than perfection. But on this particular day, perfection had taken a holiday because Mr. Bean had been hired as a waiter. Nobody knew how or why. All they knew was at the moment he walked in, bow tie slightly crooked, shoes squeaking loudly, and eyes darting left and right like a trapped squirrel, chaos was guaranteed. Mr. Bean entered the restaurant with exaggerated seriousness, holding a tray as if it were a crown jewel. He smiled proudly, nodded at the other waiters, and immediately tripped on the carpet. The tray flew into the air, and by some miracle, landed back on his head like a hat. Guests turned to stare. Mr. Bean, unfazed, bowed as if this was part of the performance. The crowd chuckled. The manager didn't. A couple at table 5 waved him over. Mr. Bean shuffled with a notepad, flipping it upside down, sideways, and even holding it backward, trying to look professional. "Good evening," he mumbled dramatically, though the words barely came out. The man asked for grilled salmon. Mr. Bean scribbled something that looked more like a treasure map. The lady asked for vegetarian pasta. Bean nodded, but accidentally drew a flower instead. By the time he finished, the order page was filled with doodles of cats, fishes, and arrows. He handed the note to the chef, who looked at it in horror. The chef somehow managed to prepare something close to the order. Mr. Bean marched proudly to deliver soup bowls, balancing them on his tray. Just as he reached the table, he sneezed. The soup wobbled dangerously. He froze, eyes wide, trying not to move. Everyone in the restaurant stared. Finally, he tried to recover, but instead spun in a full circle like a ballerina, splashing soup across 3 tables. Guests gasped. Mr. Bean quickly grabbed napkins, stuffing them into glasses instead of drying the spill. A wealthy man in a suit demanded impeccable service. Mr. Bean took this challenge personally. He tried pulling out the man's chair, but pulled too hard and sent the guest flying backward. He rushed to help, spilling water on the guest's shoes. Then, in a panic, Bean grabbed the tablecloth to clean them, yanking the entire dinner set onto the floor. Glass shattered. Silence. Then a baby in the corner started clapping. Slowly, laughter spread. The guests fumed, but Bean bowed as though it was all an intentional magic trick. Another table ordered wine. Mr. Bean strutted over with a large bottle, pretending to be a world-class sommelier. He sniffed the cork so dramatically that he almost fainted. He poured the wine, but his eyes were fixed on a fly buzzing nearby. Without noticing, he kept pouring and pouring until wine spilled across the entire table. Guests screamed, but Mr. Bean grabbed bread rolls and tossed them onto the wine puddle, as if that would help. Back in the kitchen, the staff had had enough. The chef screamed as Bean wandered in, accidentally tossing pepper into a dessert and sugar into the soup. He picked up a lobster from a tank, tried to shake its claw like a handshake, and screamed when it snapped. In his panic, he slipped on spilled oil, skidded across the kitchen floor, and crashed through the swinging doors back into the dining hall, where he ended up spinning across the floor like a figure skater. The restaurant was now in complete disarray. Glasses toppled, plates shattered, and guests were either laughing hysterically or storming out in anger. The manager grabbed his head, muttering, "What have I done hiring this man?" Mr. Bean, still determined, climbed onto a chair and tried giving a heartfelt apology in mime. He spread his arms wide, then lost balance, sent himself crashing into the dessert cart. Cakes flew into the air like fireworks, landing on every table. Chaos had officially peaked. Just when everyone expected the manager to throw him out, something strange happened. A little boy in the corner laughed so hard that everyone else began laughing too. Soon the entire restaurant was roaring with laughter. Even the wealthy, angry guest couldn't resist cracking a smile as cake dripped down his suit. The manager, exhausted, sighed and muttered, "Fine, he stays, but only for one day." Mr. Bean, covered in soup, cake, and wine, proudly bowed as though he had just won an award. The chaos he created turned the restaurant into the funniest dinner anyone had ever had. And that's how one single day of Mr. Bean as a waiter turned a fine dining restaurant into a circus of laughter. Because in the world of Mr. Bean, chaos is not just expected, it's guaranteed. Backhand index pointing right if this made you laugh. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more hilarious stories, and share with your friends who love Mr. Bean's unique style of comedy.